as I was in the ages of like 13, 14, 15, I just saw like, okay, I had friends who naturally were like super skinny, and I would look at these girls and think, okay, well, I would compare myself to them, and I was actually pretty skinny at that point. Like I wouldn't gain weight easily, but I thought I might, and it was that fear of just like I wasn't as skinny as them, but I was still like healthy, you know? And I think that just the comparison that started to happen in my mind, I didn't think properly about myself. I kept thinking, well, I'm just not pretty enough, or I'm not skinny enough. So I would just try to wake up later in the day and try to avoid meals and things like that. And I felt miserable because I was just thinking like, okay, I don't want to eat. Or I would think if I went to somebody else's house, then I'd be like, well, what are we going to eat? Am I going to have something that's going to actually not make me fat? Or is this like, you know, that was my thought process, was constantly about food. My entire, every day would just be like, I would be consumed with that thought. And I talked to my mom because she was very open, like even, you know, throughout the years and like TV show and all of that. She struggled with bulimia for years, and which is not something I struggled with, but when she was, you know, a teen, that was something she really struggled with, like on the cheerleading team. And so I knew that, and I was able to go talk to her after I don't know how many months of like wrestling with this. And when I talked to her, then she was really sweet, and the way she handled it was so helpful, because she did not go from one extreme to the other, where she was just telling me like, okay, now you need to eat everything in sight. Like she didn't force me to eat things that were unhealthy. Cause like, I mean, we were in Arkansas. There were casseroles. You could easily gain 50 pounds in a meal if you wanted to. And it was something that she just told me. She's like, well, Ginger, she's like, I really appreciate you telling me that. But like, she came up with a plan. Just text me what you eat every day, and I'd love to be accountable too. And I'll text you what I eat.
That's so sweet.
And it was so sweet, because in that time I was struggling so much, and I was so embarrassed by like how I was struggling, and I didn't want to open up to her, but I knew I could, because she's like the sweetest person in the whole world. So when I told her, she was like, yeah, and I can like, I want to try to eat healthier, so maybe we can eat healthy together. And she didn't force me to like eat unhealthy stuff, but she was like, I want to make sure you're getting enough protein, enough, you know, fiber. Let's like do this. And so it was the most helpful thing for me, because then I started to develop a healthy relationship with food. And it was something that I realized, okay, you don't have to like, when you struggled with that, thank you, love. She was telling me like, even though you struggle with this, it doesn't mean that you have to, I'm not going to force you to like eat 3 cheeseburgers, because you don't need to do that. But like, just eat what you need to eat. And that's enough. And it was helpful for me to process like, and she kept telling me like, you're beautiful just the way God made you, and he designed you just how he wanted you to be. So, all of those things, and even like exercise, right? Like I like to work out. And so that's not a bad thing, but like, what is the driving motivation? Is it to be pleased, like to have the approval of other people around me? Or is it just to be healthy and to like eat healthy, work out, all the things that are actually fun and enjoyable about it? But that gave me a healthy perspective on food. And then moving forward, I was like, okay, I want to make sure that I'm eating the right amounts for my body, what is required. And then I started to feel better, more energy, more like just enjoying life again, you know, because I wasn't thinking about food. And then when I go to somebody's house and maybe they had something I typically wouldn't eat, or it was super greasy or unhealthy, I'd be like, okay, I'm going to eat this, and it doesn't matter. Like, I'm going to try not to think about it. And some days you can feel icky, and it's not always easy. But then I think just after years of that, I have not struggled with that as I did before. Like I just for years have had so much freedom in that, and I'm really thankful for it. I think a lot of it really does go back to how my mom handled the situation and helped walk me through it, because she had been in a similar place.
I love how she didn't get angry at you. I love how she didn't say like, "Oh my gosh,
like why
are you doing that? No, don't, like it's so bad." She's like, "Hey, let's just hold each other accountable. I'm gonna send you what I eat. You send me what you eat."
Yeah,
that seems so sweet.
It was perfect. And I think like it'll be different for each person if that's something they struggle with. Some people may need more in-depth help. But it was enough for me to know that like she kept telling me, she always would tell me anything I was struggling with. She's like, you're going to be okay. And those words coming from your mom just mean the world, right? Because like you feel like as a teenager, especially being able to like talk to her about those things, it's hard to open up. But then at the same time, she would always make me feel like it wasn't so out of place, right? Like that reaction, she would never react. And that was something that was super comforting because I knew I wasn't crazy. I wasn't like going insane. Like I was okay. We're going to get through this together. And I did.